Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Wicked Sports Podcast for February 5th, 2025. Lots of good stuff to cover today as we inch closer to the big game, the Super Bowl. Got a few football topics for you, and then we'll also have some basketball talk on At the Buzzer. A lot of very interesting stuff happening there, as well as it is the trade deadline for that league. So let's get started off with a story about Cooper Kupp and the Rams parting ways. Cooper Kupp came out with a statement stating that the Los Angeles Rams, the team that drafted him, the team that he won a Triple Crown with, the team that he won a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP with, are going to be looking to trade him. He said, quote, "I was informed that a team will be seeking a trade immediately and be working with me and my family to find the right place to continue competing for championships. I don't agree with the decision and always believed it was going to begin and end in LA. Still, if there's one thing that I've learned over the years, there are so many things that are out of your control, but it's how you respond to these things that you look back on and remember." Close quote. So, kind of, if you're just looking at the on field production for Cooper Kupp, not that much of a surprise, right? After his Super Bowl winning year, he's really dropped off the last few years. So in 2021, he had 1,947 yards, 16 touchdowns. Next year, he comes back. It's on a similar pace, 75 receptions for 812 yards, but he gets hurt. He misses a lot of the season, and that would begin the downward trajectory of Kupp's career with the Rams. He's missed time over the last few years. In 2023, 59 receptions, 737 yards. And the emergence of Cooper Kupp really kept his numbers down along with those injuries. And then this year, again, injuries, 67 receptions, 710 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So when he plays, he's effective. The problem is he's not on the field enough to demand the salary that he has based on the contract. If he gets traded, and one thing that will complicate trades is he'll have a 20 million cap hit and then like a 19 million cap hit the year after for a receiver who peaked incredibly high and has had a solid career but doesn't have like the production of that anymore. That is a steep price. He's like a solid number 3 receiver in terms of production right now. That being said, there'll certainly be teams that will be interested in Cooper Kupp's services. We want to kind of pie in the sky. I think you can probably get Cooper Kupp for a second, third round pick, maybe even like a couple of late round picks, like a 4th and a 6th at this point, because the Rams are really in like cap hell at the moment, and they're looking to offload this contract for a fairly unproductive player. You're trying to buy low for a player that can be maybe a top end number 3 receiver. If like everything works out right, maybe a number 2 receiver. He's gotten close to 1,000 yards the last couple of seasons. So I think the one that like everybody jumped on was the Titans. This is like a very classic Titans move. Julio Jones, Andre Johnson, right? Randy Moss, Hopkins this last couple of years. Aging superstar receivers who are at the end of their rope, end of their career, come to Tennessee, get a last hoorah before fading into obscurity. I could potentially see that being the case. But one I like from an actual, like, this could work out in a positive way and it wouldn't just be kind of going out sad. It would be positive for like everyone involved. What about the Los Angeles Chargers? Trade him to the Chargers. You get a veteran receiver who has been solid in the past, who can help the younger receivers on that team develop into something more. Like if you're not getting the production from Kupp being an all-world receiver anymore, you will still be able to get the production from his knowledge of football. And I think that could be something that the Chargers could really, really benefit from, as they're a very talented team. And they just need, to put it all together with Herbert. Lad McConkey burst onto the scene this year. We'll see if that's a possibility, but it would also work out really well for Cooper Kupp and his family, and it would be the Rams doing right by him by sending him to a team that's in the same city that, has practice facilities in the same area, that plays in the same stadium. His life wouldn't be entirely uprooted, like, if you move all the way to Tennessee, like, if New England's also, like, one where they need, a good receiver coming in, maybe even the Bengals, who are potentially gonna lose, you know, their number 2 receiver in Higgins, and maybe they wanna try to replace Cup, and they can work out a deal with the Rams somehow, or, sign him to a new deal if the Rams just have to cut him or whatnot. But those are all, like, giant life changes that maybe Cup and his family don't wanna go through, and maybe the Rams would be able to help facilitate him going to the Chargers. So, let's keep our eye on the Chargers as the place where I don't know, it just feels right. Do you agree, or am I just, like, completely crazy and out of left field on this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're a Rams fan, just let me know what Cooper Kupp has meant to you over these years. I know he's been not as great the last 3 years due to injury, but, that 2021 season was, like, the most magical receiver run we've ever seen, like, up there with Larry Fitzgerald's magical playoff receiving runs, but it actually ended in a Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP, like, Fitz's would if he had won the Super Bowl against the Steelers. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hey everybody, welcome back to At the Buzzer, joined as always by Jack Tiernan. Jack, how you doing?
Good. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So, a lot of fallout from the Luka trade. I kind of want to go over. First and foremost, there was a funeral held for I think the Mavericks organization, or maybe like
Yeah,
Luka being a member of the Mavericks. That was very interesting. And then we are hearing reports that the team is offering season ticket refunds. Jack, can you just like comment on that and how crazy that is for an organization to do?
I think that's unheard of, right? I feel like the only other time that that would happen would be if a player got injured, right? Like, for example, you look at the Hawks, if Trey got injured, maybe they'd be like, "Oh, he's out for the season, like, we'll give you a partial refund." I think for, like, an action that ownership has done to then be like, "Yeah, we like, our bad, here you go," that is pretty rough. So, I think they realize that they must have known going into this how bad the optics would be, and I think that they're now trying to atone for that, basically.
Yeah, really, like, almost impossibly bad optics. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen backlash to a trade like this ever. And, like, you know, a lot of people joked, like, David Stern, right? That was the former commissioner. He blocked Chris
Yep.
Paul getting traded to the Lakers. He would not have let this happen in
No,
this way, probably. And it just like has this like kind of, I don't know, almost shaken the foundation of trust that any Mavs fan has for the competency of this organization.
completely. There's no way if the Boston Celtics did that today and they traded Jason Tatum for a bag of potato chips and like John Collins, I think people would like I would burn all my jerseys. I have a lot of Celtics jerseys. I
Yeah,
would put
right.
the dumpster on fire.
Mhm.
Like there's no shot. There's no shot. I don't blame them. I'm sad for them as a Celtics fan. As a team, this is the team we played in the finals last year, mind you, with Luka on it. And I'm like, dude, that sucks. Like that's not normally it's no love lost, but in this case, it really feels. I mean, that's like if you're an avid sports fan, right? Like we are, like that's you're losing a piece of your almost a piece of your identity, which might be a little bit excessive, but even still, he's a big part of why you like the Mavericks team because he is the guy on that team. So insane loss for them.
Yeah, it's almost hard for me to, like, conceptualize just because like, Jason Tatum's definitely, like, a top 10 player, sure. But
For
Luka,
sure.
like, potentially has, the potential to be the top player in
The
the
top.
league.
Yeah.
Like, none of the teams I root for have ever had, like, the top player in the league, except, like, maybe Ricky Williams way back in the day. And if the Dolphins had traded Ricky Williams in his prime, that would have been sad, but he also gets
Yes.
suspended for smoking weed in his prime, so I guess I kind of know how it feels, though, the Dolphins are incompetent for many other reasons, so, um, but yeah, this is just, like, insane, and, like, I think it's fair. If I was a Mavs fan, I also would be, like, checked out on this
Oh,
season.
same. And
Like,
it probably beyond the season, to be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, what sucks about this actually is the time to be checked in is now because now you have
right.
a win now situation with Anthony Davis, who is 6 years, almost 7 years older than Luca, and an older Kyrie Irving, right? I think Davis is 31, he's turning 32 next week, and Kyrie's 32. So that window just got a lot shorter.
Hmm. Yeah, I just don't see it, Jack. I
No,
don't see this move. Like when we were trying to react to it in the moment, we are like, well, maybe it's like more is gonna happen, and maybe like this is a piece of it. And it's like, no, this is just like an inexplicable move to the point that people are coming up with conspiracy theories
yes,
around like maybe Mavs new ownership couldn't get the like permission to make the gambling stuff around the stadium, and this is them sticking it to the state, to the city. Maybe the GM is just like really good friends with 80 and just wanted to like trade for him because that's his friend.
that's his
Like,
buddy. Yeah, which they are. They're close, but
yeah,
I don't know about that close.
it seems insane. And even he was like, yo, me and Jason Kidd are probably not going to be here in 10 years. And it's like, well, definitely not now.
Maybe not in 2 years.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah, not in 2 years. But it really is the most insane sports trade that just keeps getting more insane the more we like hear from the people involved. Like Luca at his press conference was like, I would have signed a supermax. I didn't want to be traded. Like that horrible look for the Mavs to have him there looking sad in his press conference. Like, I don't know, Jack. Thoughts on that aspect of things?
that press conference was so funny because you could tell that he was thinking the same thing we all were thinking. Like the dude knows his worth, right? And to be honest, like you're at that level of a basketball player, you've justified your ego to that point. Do whatever the hell you want, right? Luca is literally like you said it, Brian. Like he's probably potentially going to be a top, if not the top player in the league, where he already is. Right? He's five-time first team All NBA at 25 years old. That's insane. Like that's and you're like, yeah, a first round pick and an old crippled AD sounds good. There's some I understand the conspiracy theories because there has to be some other meaning. The other thing is like the only conversation that happened about this trade, even to begin with, was between LA and between Dallas. Like nobody else was even like offered to bid because probably I understand it. You don't want people to know Luca's on the market and then
Yeah.
it gets sloppy. But I mean, a first round pick is all you can get back, and AD and
Yeah.
freaking Max Christie. That's insane.
That's like organizational and ineptitude to like an
Completely.
unreal degree. Because like if you say Luca's available, you're getting like six first round picks. Like I don't know if that's
Yeah.
ridiculous, but I feel like
No.
you're getting like everything. Some team is ready to like throw it all in for Luca, you know?
Completely. And I think, I mean, the people have said it online too. It's like a 2K trade, right? Like you send
Mhm.
this and you're like, maybe they'll accept it. Like, and then the machine is like, that's fucking actually somebody
Yeah,
did it. They went on 2K and 2K was like, no, this no shot, like rejected. And
yeah.
that is case in point. So
Yeah,
insane.
that's one of my favorite things when people do that to be like, would this actually be allowed in 2K? And that no,
It
not.
was not. No.
So that's crazy. Well, there's been more crazy trade news. You want to kind of break down some of what's happened there?
Yeah, a couple other things that went down, obviously less crazy, but for us as Celtics fans, Jaden Springer to the Rockets for basically a bag of chips, which
Hmm.
sucks 'cause I really liked him.
Yeah,
We gave up a second round pick, Jaden Springer, and then eventually also have the return is a pick swap with the Rockets. So we get their second round pick, which is like, who cares, to be honest with you,
right.
to say it. So that's a salary jump. That gets us below the second mid level exception, which is fine.
Okay.
So we
Yeah,
saved some money on luxury tax this season, close to like 12 mil, to be honest, because of the size of his contract compared to people like Luke and by X Tillman. Like that makes the most sense. So even though he was seeing playing time, it's probably to showcase him, frankly.
that's a good point. Yeah, just like get him out there and be like, hey, right?
We got
Yeah,
something, but
yeah,
there's
yeah.
too deep, man. Good problem to have.
Yes, definitely. Any other trades that we haven't
Yeah,
touched on?
a couple big ones that I wanted to touch on. There obviously was the Milwaukee Bucks trading for Kyle Kuzma in place of Chris Middleton. So that's a unique one. I don't know. I mean, Kuzma waived part of his trade kicker, so he still got part of it, which means his salary's bumped up for the Bucks to give him a little bit of roster flexibility. But
Okay.
I mean, Middleton basically, like, we kind of knew his time was up. He's been injured a lot the last 2 years. I don't think he's played against the Celtics in who knows how long. Um, I think it's kind of like, hey, Chris, thanks for your service. We're going to send you to NBA Purgatory, potentially get bought out by the Wizards, which is, I mean, he's got a big salary, so maybe not, but
Mhm.
at least give you an opportunity to get flipped for a contender, kind of like what they did with Drew Holiday this offseason or this last offseason as well. So that's a crazy one. I don't know what that really means for Milwaukee. I think Kuzma is like a decent interior guy, but so is Giannis. I guess the difference is he can shoot for what it's worth. I
Mm.
mean, kind of. Um, I don't know, man. I feel like that's kind of a weird fit, just like the Dame trade was. So it might not be a now trade; it might be next year. And at that point, is Dame going to continue to play at the level he's playing at? So
Right.
very unique. I think will be a weird fit.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Bucks are in contention, so maybe it's just like a little adjustment, see what they can, do there. And any other trades you want to touch on before we get on out of here?
Yeah, one last one. There was one involving, I believe it was Caleb Martin. Sorry, our boy Daniel Tice traded from the Pelicans
Mm.
to OKC Thunder. So RIP, buddy. Now you're on a contender. We'll probably see you in the finals at this rate. Um,
Right.
but that was the same thing. It was a tax dump, right? His salary was
Mm.
over X amount. Now the Pelicans are below that tax threshold.
Yep.
The only other crazy one was, yeah, it was the Quentin Grimes is going to Philadelphia, who I liked a lot in New York as kind of a six man
Mhm.
last year. So he's going to New York, um, or I'm sorry, he's going to Philadelphia, and Cody Martin, known Celtics killer, is going to Dallas. So thankful he wasn't on that team last year because he would have put
Yeah.
up like averages of like 35, 8, and 9 or something crazy like that. Meanwhile, his season averages are like below 10 points per game. So he's fine. I don't know if he's going to be a difference maker there. I honestly think Quentin Grimes is a more interesting pickup the for the Sixers.
All right. Well, we're still waiting for Jimmy Butler to get traded or not get traded. Apparently, he scared the Warriors off from making a trade by being like, "I'm not going to sign a new contract."
Which is
So
insane.
I don't get it, Jack. I don't get what he wants. It's very
Nobody does.
confusing. Um, I'm sure we'll be back if that does go through at some point. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for your time today.
Of course, thanks for having me, bro.
And anything you want to plug before you get out of here?
Sure, follow me on Twitter. I'll be reacting to all of the trade news that happens uh, close to the deadline at this point. That is at Jack_Tiernan. So follow me there.
Yes, follow him there. And we're going to move on to the next segment. All right, moving on to Ron Rivera going back to school. So this is breaking news at the time of recording, though I think it'll go up the next day. But former Carolina Panthers and Washington Commanders coach Ron Rivera is returning to the University of California, his alma mater, to help the football program. So Rivera, obviously, he was the head coach for the Panthers when they went to the Super Bowl in 2015. He really revitalized that franchise along with Cam Newton. He has 102, 103, like two career coaching record. He was last coaching the Commanders. He got them to the playoffs, but they were kind of middling during his whole like tenure there. And it's kind of interesting because it's along with Bill Belichick, we have these very established, very successful NFL head coaches returning to the college game to see if they can help these universities. And it's interesting also because like the college game is now more like the NFL game in the sense that these players have autonomy. They're able to leave and go, get money, so it kind of takes like a different skill set to keep these players happy. Someone who was maybe domineering and in that style where it's like, you have to listen to me. I'm the coach of the college program. You don't have options. Maybe that style doesn't work anymore. And now you need to bring in people who are more adept at handling these, you know, personalities that come with money, right? Like I think anybody, I mean, I'm sure you've seen in your real life somebody who gets money and all of a sudden their ego shoots up, where maybe it wouldn't have been as big if they weren't quite as rich. I know I've certainly seen it in my own life. But what Rivera says in a post to X, Coach Belichick has made going back to school cool. Stay tuned. I'm coming home. So I think, it could be a very interesting situation, but I wanted to really get your opinion on if we think that this is the next trend of NCAA football, of college football, where we're going to be seeing these established head coaches go back to school and really kind of fill a niche that before the NIL wasn't even a thing before. And obviously, like Rivera, unlike Belichick is going to be the head coach of the University of North Carolina. He's already out there recruiting. He brought in his son, Stephen Belichick. And that should be interesting enough on its own. I mean, if you're a college player, I think you would want to be coached by Bill Belichick because if you can like succeed under him, that says a lot about you and you'll learn so much. I mean, he's probably the most knowledgeable coach in the NFL in terms of like the knowledge he has of history. If you've ever listened to any of his press conferences where he wasn't answering specific questions, he was answering, or positing stories about the past. He's just such an interesting mind. So that's like I would think very attractive for players, but Rivera's not going to be the head coach. He's going to be primarily in an administrative role, but he'll be involved in the oversight of the program and its big picture needs, including budget, coaching staff, and student athletic experience. And this is all from ESPN's Adam Rittenberg reporting on that. So I just thought this was so interesting. And I am very interested to see if this is going to be a continuing trend for these college programs to bring in these experiences head coaches because it makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me. So if you are a Cal fan, they haven't been too great lately, but maybe this is the beginning. How excited are you to have Ron Rivera come and be a part of the program? And if you're a UNC fan, also, how excited are you to have Bill Belichick as your head coach? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of Wicked Good Sports. If you liked it, please subscribe. We have a bunch of sports videos coming out pretty much every single day. We're going to be doing a live stream before the Super Bowl, making our picks and also creating some bets to hopefully make some money off of the game. It's just a fun thing. Not going to go too crazy. Don't want to ruin our lives on bets. Not going to be betting like tens of thousands of dollars on the coin flip or anything crazy. Just, some fun to get hyped for the big game. So that will be Sunday morning. Please check back to the channel for that. Other than that, please check out our main channel, Wicked Good Everything, where we cover nerd and pop culture news, and our podcasting channel for all of our podcasts that don't have to do with sports, and that is the channel Better Radio. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.